All right, so first we're going to make a document. And this time we're not going to, we've been using one artboard mostly, but this time we're going to make multiple artboards with one document. Now, each individual emotion or word or whatever you will call it will be placed on a 17 by 11 artboard in a single document. So I'll show you how to do that first. You open up Illustrator, you create a new document, and the thing here is to make sure that the width is 17 and the height is 11 inches. So it's a horizontal document. The other thing, and this is the new thing, is you're going to go to the Artboard section, which is right here, and instead of putting 1, you just keep on hitting that arrow so that you have 6. Are you with me so far? Okay, remember, I would urge you to follow on. I am better as somebody to follow along with. I make terrible TV. I'm going to name it Assignment 3. Words. And I'm going to hit create. And it's going to open this up. And before I do anything else, I'm going to save the, I'm going to do save as. This allows me to place it in my Assignment 3 folder. So I go to Documents, JBoardage, Assignment 3, and save. There was somebody from my last class who did not save at first, did a whole bunch of work, her computer crashed, and it was all gone because there was no place to find it or save it. So save early and often. Remember to hit save. All you have to do is hit Command S and it will save for you. And now you see there's 11 artboards. You just hit OK. All right. Remember, if you want to make this fit the screen, you just hit the green button. Remember to say 11 artboards? No, it'll be 6 artboards, and the dimensions, and you'll find that on the back of your sheet, is 17 inches wide and 11 inches tall. And it should look something like this. All right, I'm going to zoom in on one artboard because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the squares on one of the artboards. I'm going to show you how to use the align tool so they match up really beautifully. And then what I'll do is populate the rest of the artboards with what I did there simply by option dragging and creating. So I don't have to do each artboard, each of the 6. So remember, I need 8 of them. I'm going to start with a square. Now, if I go to my Properties panel, I want my square to be an empty fill, right? Right here it says fill. I want that to be empty. The way you do that is you click on the white square. You come up with the swatches panel. And then you hit this square with a little section in the middle, like that. You hit that, and that little cross in the middle means it's empty. It doesn't mean it's white. That's the little X means, or a little slash means it is empty. And I'll show you why that we should do that later. Okay. Now the stroke should be white. Should be black, like I see it there. And I increase the stroke weight to 3 points. Now I haven't done anything yet. I've just picked the square and I've set the parameters. Now all I want you to do, I don't want you to draw a square. I just want you to click on that top left artboard. When you click on the top left artboard, you get a rectangle rectangle palette. And what you're going to do is specify the dimensions, right? I want the dimensions to be 3 inches on a side. I have that set right here, 3 inches. If you don't have 3 inches, type 3 space IN for both the height and the width. And once that happens, you just hit OK. and you get a 3-inch square. Now with that 3-inch square, I'm going to just, now this is going to be interesting and at first a little challenging for you in terms of moving the square. I'm going to use the selection tool, which is the black arrow tool, and I'm going to drift over it. If I go in the middle and try to move it, I actually won't be able to move it because there's nothing there to move. The selection tool has to hit a something. So I have to drift over to the edge of that box and drag it into place. I have it at the top right. Now, for me to make 3 more of those, there's a couple ways I could do that. I could just keep on hitting going to the box and just keep on hitting the tool, or I prefer to hit the Option key and Option drag. So if I Option drag, I do 1, 2, 3. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just by eye, and this is the only thing you're going to do by eye, I'm going to try to get the outer 2 squares to be about the same distance. I'm just moving the inner 2 squares, and all I'm concerned about right now is when I see this space between this square and this edge, and this square and this edge, they should be about the same. It shouldn't be like, it's not a big deal, but should be about the same. All right, we're going to make it perfect later. Might actually give it myself a little bit more space between them. Kind of like that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is I want to line them up. Right now they're all jumbled, and the great thing about Illustrator is it gives you these great tools to make everything look beautiful and aligned. So where you're going to find that tool is in the Window drop-down menu. So if you hit Window, and you go down to something called Align, and you click on it, you get the alignment panel. Now some of you may have an align that looks like this. There's only 2 sections. I want you to go into this little area right here. If you have 2 sections, click on it, and there's something called More Options. If you click on More Options, and I don't know why they don't have this there all the time, because the Align To section, which is right here, I know it's hard for you to see, but the Align To section is such an important part of this process. All right, so the first thing, like I said, is I just want to make them line up and down. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have my selection tool selected. I'm going to select all of them by click dragging on the outside, and then make sure I cover everything. Everything's selected. Is that clear? Do people know how to click drag? All right, and then I'm going to wander over to here, and that is going to have me vertically align in the center, and I'll show you what happens. If you click this, it vertically aligns and it moves it to the center. I don't care right now if it's in the center. I can move it back up later, but the most important thing is that now the bottoms are perfectly aligned, which is kind of awesome. All right. All right. So the next thing I want to do is, right now, notice they're not evenly spaced. I want to distribute them evenly. So with all of them being in a line like this, I'm going to drift down to the second course, and if you'll notice, it says horizontally distribute center. But I don't want to do that just yet, because I want to, right now it's aligned to the artboard, which is that big white cube. If I do it aligned to the artboard, I'll show you what happens. I'll go do this, hit this, and notice what happens. It aligns to the artboard, so I lose all that space that I tried to create on either end. So I'm going to hit Command Z, and instead I'm going to go to this Align To tool, and I'm going to click on it. And instead of aligning to the artboard, I'm going to align just to the selection, which means that blue bounding box is the thing I'm aligning to. So when I align to selection, and I hit the same tool, it evenly distributes in that selection. How's that sound? Pretty nice and even?
How did you get the squares into the middle of the box?
Oh, I went up to here and did vertically align center.
Yeah, that's not moving.
Yours is not moving? Oh, are you aligning it to, this could work in either way. You can actually, if they're vertically, if they're all centered, it doesn't matter if it's in the center of the artboard, provided that they're all in a straight line and they're all evenly spaced. If you've got that, it doesn't matter where it is right now. Is everybody there? Oh, that's not working for you yet? All right. So if I have one course of this, what I can do now is I can actually align it perfectly so it's evenly distributed from one side of the artboard to the other. What I have to do is I have to group them and then center them, right? So I go up to Object, Group, and then I go to Align Objects, Horizontally Align Center. And since nothing has happened, oh, I have to go to Artboard, Horizontally Align Center. It was hard for you to see, but it moved over just a little bit. Now I know that that is in the center between, this is an even space between this area and this area is exactly the same to within a millionth of an inch. It probably is such a small change. I'll come around after I'm done the demonstration and I'll work it out. Okay, now that I've done that, if I wanted to move it up or down, if I hold on to the Shift key, I can move it and it won't necessarily, oh, it's not, the Shift key is not working. So I'm just going to keep that there for now. What I'm going to now do is I'm going to click drag with the whole thing selected, click drag, and I'm going to move this down. Now I have 8 artboards. And this should probably be a group, yes? And this is a group. Just to make sure, I'm going to take this group and I'm going to center it using horizontal align center just to make sure. Notice it moved over a little bit. Going to just check that one out. Now they're perfectly centered. I'm now going to take the whole thing and center the whole thing. So I'm going to take that, turn it into a group, align center, and I'm also going to be vertically align center. And now it's exactly in the right place. Now once I've done that, I can select the whole thing and object drag it. This is the great thing. I can object drag it into different places. That's the glorious thing. I've done one. And I can keep doing it. All right, now I have all of them populated. All I need to do is go up to each one of them and make sure that they're horizontally aligned and vertically aligned. Go to each one. Horizontally, vertically. All right. And that's how to align. And if you look, if you've wondered like how in magazines and everything, how do they get everything aligned? They don't actually have to worry about measuring stuff. They just use this alignment tool. The last thing I want you to do, remember the words that you're going to be using. Order, growth, comfort, playful, congestion, and tension. And so you're going to go to the type tool. This is the first time you've used it. When you click on the Type tool, you'll notice now the Properties panel reflects the Type tool. It's right now in Myriad Pro, which is fine. You'll find that the font is a little small at 12 point, but I'm just going to type here to show you. I'm going to click. Basically, I have the type selected. I just click once, and I'm going to type order. It's too small. I'll show you where it is. Order's way too small at 12 point. What I can do, however, is I can take my selection tool and select the word. Once the word is selected, I can keep on hitting the size key, which is right under, if you look, this is the name of the font. Underneath is the size of the font. And I can get it to the size I want. And then I want to remember what size I like. I think 56 works. So I have order at 56. I'm going to back up for a second. And the last thing I want to do with that is I want to make sure that they're all centered. So I'm going to go back to my Align tool, and I'm going to center it. And there we are. So that's how to get your artboards done. And then you basically populate each one. One is order, and one is growth, one is comfort, one is playful, one is congested, and one is tension. All right? And that's how you set it up.
You want to know what come over here?
I totally do.
Alright, I'm lost. You lost me a while ago.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening.